Hello, everyone. My name's Eloisa Ramos, and we are here studying the Course in Miracles, the text. I'm here with my daughter, Sonia. Hi, Sonia. My friends, Teresa and Connie. Hi, guys. Okay.
Hello.
Let's see. And we just finished chapter 9, the Holy, let's see. We just finished the Unhealed Healer. And now we're going to section 6, the acceptance of your brother. Paragraph 1. How can you become increasingly aware of the Holy Spirit in you, except by his effects? You cannot see him with your eyes, nor hear him with your ears. How then can you perceive him at all? If you inspire joy and others react to you with joy, even though you are not experiencing joy yourself, there must be something in you that is capable of producing it. If it is in you and can produce joy, and if you see that it does produce joy in others, you must be dissociating it in yourself. Okay. Okay, so in the previous section, we were talking about how we block the Holy Spirit guidance, and therefore we block the healing that can come through the Holy Spirit as the light. And so here it's saying, and it was also talking about the effects, the miracles, and how those are the fruits. Let's see, by their fruits ye shall know them, and they shall know themselves. So that the miracles are the fruits of the healed mind, of the Holy Spirit working through our mind. Okay. Because it's saying, how else are we going to aware that the Holy Spirit is in us unless, because we can't see him, it's not an image, it's not, it's beyond perception. So this is how we can know and be aware of the Holy Spirit, become increasingly aware of the Holy Spirit in us. It's if we see that there are fruits, that we inspire joy. Even though we may not be aware that we have that, okay? And if we're not aware that we have that, but it's producing those effects, then it's saying you must be dissociating it in yourself. So that's the split mind, okay? If we dissociate it from ourselves, we're splitting the mind, but the Holy Spirit is still there, and it can still come through and have those effects. But we're blocking the awareness of that in ourselves. So it's interesting because it's saying that we can still be a channel for those fruits, but not be aware of that, of yeah, we can still be split. We can still have that split mind. Okay, number 2.
It seems to you that the Holy Spirit does not produce joy consistently in you only because you do not consistently arouse joy in others. Their reactions to you are your evaluations of his consistency. When you are inconsistent, you will not always give rise to joy, and so you will not always recognize his consistency. What you offer to your brother, you offer to him, because he cannot go beyond your offering in his giving. This is not because he limits his giving, but simply because you have limited your receiving. The decision to receive is the decision to accept. This is bringing up a lot of like a lot of issues, at least for me personally, of not feeling worthy to receive or feeling or like it like a lot of beliefs about like not being good enough or uh, which is basically limiting. It's basically I've decided to not to not accept
Yeah,
that I'm worthy of receiving, um, which is self, what do you call it? Like self
deprecation.
is that the correct word? I don't know.
Yes, number
But
five.
yeah.
This is not because he limits his giving, but simply because you have limited your receiving. Right. And so the decision to receive is the decision to accept. Yes. So for some reason, for some people, it's easier to give than to receive. Um, I mean, I can't fully wrap my head around that, but it does have to do with unworthiness. Okay. But remember that unworthiness is a judgment. So it's a judgment, and it's really, I think it is tied to the idea of I want to say that it's tied to the idea of sin. Um, because because there's a little phrase right before going to communion in a Catholic mass where you say, I am unworthy to receive this, but only say the word and I shall be healed. Okay. So basically it's saying I am unworthy of good things, of divinity, so there's a tendency, I think, maybe also culturally, to want to say that to be lowly is what God considers to be humble and innocent um, and pure and good. So we have a lot of associations um, to that because we want to because we because the history of Jesus, you know, is that he was born to a poor couple, born in a manger without a place. So he was of a low economic status. So we tend to want to bring the idea of the Son of God into the world and say that he was of a particular class and of a particular, of course, gender and a particular whatever, however we judge ourselves. Um, and so there's a sense um, that I need to be unworthy in order to be worthy of being saved. Um, because that salvation implies unworthiness in a way. Um, because it implies, salvation from basically misery and condemnation to heaven and uh, to not suffering. So it becomes kind of a part of the dualistic way of looking at God, at salvation. Does that make any sense, Sonia?
Yeah, I think so. I can definitely understand that concept of needing to be unworthy in order to be worthy of the salvation that you're talking about. But yeah, it's something I
Yes. So
relate.
because there's an inequality there, because you're saying, okay, I am worthy enough to allow the light to come through me and give joy to you, but I am not worthy enough to receive or accept that for myself.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that inconsistency there. Um, yeah, so this is what it's talking about here. 3, when you are inconsistent, you will not always give rise to joy, and so you will not always recognize his consistency. Okay. So because we are inconsistent doesn't mean that the Holy Spirit is inconsistent. Holy Spirit is completely consistent. Okay. But the channel can be blocked. So we can block it and we can unblock it. And that's where we look at the inconsistency, but it has nothing to do with the Holy Spirit. It's just that we go back and forth between deciding for the ego and deciding for the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And so when we have limited, when we limit our receiving, that's because we're blocking it. That's because we're identified with the ego. Okay. All right. So you could say that we're depriving ourselves by not accepting it. Yeah. Okay. Number 3.
If your brothers are part of you, will you accept them? Only they can teach you what you are, for your learning is the result of what you taught them. What you call upon in them, you call upon in yourself. And as you call upon it in them, it becomes real to you. God has but one Son, knowing them all as one. Only God himself is more than they, but they are not less than he is. Would you know what this means? If what you do to my brother, you do to me, and if you do everything to yourself because we are part of you, everything we do belongs to you as well. Everyone God created is part of you and shares his glory with you. His glory belongs to him, but it is equally yours. You cannot then be less glorious than he is.
Anything, Connie? No, no comment.
No,
Okay.
it's just a nice thought there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's really a thought of equality. So, and I think, Sonia, the unworthiness is really a thought of inequality. You see, because in a way, to say I am unworthy of accepting joy is to say I am in a position to judge my own worthiness, and as God created me, and therefore I'm in a position that is above God, who is the creator. So yeah, so there's an ego thought there, that says that worthiness can be judged. Worthiness and unworthiness can be judged because that's a belief in inequality. There's a separation there. And this next paragraph is saying, if your brothers are a part of you, will you accept them? So to accept them is to say that there is no difference, that 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 we're equally acceptable, we're equal, that we're the same. Let's see, what you call upon in them, you call upon in yourself, because our brothers are basically just mirrors. They're mirrors. So if we're split, we're saying, okay, I see the joy in them, but I don't see the joy in myself. Well, that joy in yourself has to be there because you're seeing it in them, even if you dissociate from feeling it and experiencing it yourself. Okay, you are seeing it, so it is yours. uh, and I also use that the other way around, because if I see error that in my brother, then I'm saying, okay, well, that error is really that's error is really in me, and I'm dissociating from it because I don't want to see it in me, but it's there. So I go ahead and look at it, knowing that it's just a reflection, and then I can release it and give it to the Holy Spirit. Um, yes, so this is just talking about the equality that, God has but one son, line 5, knowing them all as one. And that's knowledge. So the perception of separation would say, no, that's not true. Okay, and that's why it's a false idea. It's an idea that is not real. Okay. And so in trying to deprecate ourselves, we are in trying to make ourselves unworthy. That's an error, because line 11 says you cannot then be less glorious than he is. His glory belongs to him, but it is equally yours, because we're trying to make ourselves unequal to our brother or to our creator. And that's not possible, because you know, we're, we're essentially, the essential nature is the same. Number 4, my turn. God is
Oh, no,
more
it's
than,
me.
it's you?
It's
Okay,
me.
go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
God is more than you only because he created you, but not even this would he keep from you. Therefore, you can create as he did, and your dissociation will not alter this. Neither God's light nor yours is dimmed because you do not see. Because the sonship must create as one, you remember creation whenever you recognize part of creation. Each part you remember adds to your wholeness because each part is whole. Wholeness is indivisible, but you cannot learn of your wholeness until you see it everywhere. You can know yourself only as God knows his Son, for knowledge is shared with God. When you awaken him, you will know your magnitude by accepting his limitlessness as yours. But meanwhile, you will judge it as you judge your brothers and will accept it as you accept his.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I guess this is emphasis on wholeness and oneness.
Mhm.
And I keep seeing, this is my interpretation, but what I keep seeing is that how we deal with our brothers reflects how we deal with God. That as we deal with them, we're dealing with him essentially.
Yes. Mhm. And furthermore, in line 9, okay, as meanwhile you will judge it as you judge your brothers and will accept it as you accept his. So so that light in the first paragraph, what was talking about the joy in your brother and how you're not aware of the joy in yours. You can see it in your brother, okay? And and therefore, if the light is in your brother, the light is also in you, even if you dissociate. Um, and 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 in order to dissociate, we have to judge um, ourselves as different than my brother. So my brother is worthy of the joy, but I am unworthy of that joy. That would be the judgment. Okay. Um, and um, so I'm judging inequality. Um, I'm judging inequality. Let's see, when there is actual equality. So, and I don't know. I can't explain this. When you awaken him, you will know your magnitude by accepting his limitlessness as yours. Okay. But in the meantime, while we think and believe that we are asleep, we will judge the we will judge what is completely consistent from the Holy Spirit and make it appear inconsistent, so that we are not all equal, which is not true. Okay, number 5. Okay, I guess it's my turn now. You are not yet awake, but you can learn how to awaken. Very simply, the Holy Spirit teaches you to awaken others. As you see them waken, you will learn what waking means. And because you have chosen to wake them, their gratitude and their appreciation of what you have given them will teach you its value. They will become the witnesses to your reality as you were created witnesses to God's. Yet when the sonship comes together and accepts its oneness, it will be known by its creations, who witness to its reality as the Son does to the Father. So it's almost like a reinforcing, it's a reinforcing of the truth. By teaching love, we learn love. So let's see. By sharing love, we receive it, and we learn that that's what we are. And so it's a loop that the more we practice it, the more it takes on, let's see, its value. Will teach you its value. So it reinforces the value of it. It reinforces that it is the truth. And let's see. Yes. So by teaching the thoughts of God, by sharing the thoughts of God, we are helping others to awaken. And by seeing them awaken, we learn that we are awaking too, because we're the same. And that has increasing value for us. So it's a reinforcing of teaching God to others. So it's a reinforcing of the sharing. And because they will then become the witnesses to your reality as you were created, witnesses to God's. So yeah, so it's a reinforcing of the truth between our brothers and ourselves in oneness. Okay. Okay, number 6.
Miracles have no place in eternity because they are reparative. Yet while you still need healing, your miracles are the only witnesses to your reality that you can recognize. You cannot perform a miracle for yourself because miracles are a way of giving acceptance and receiving it. In time, the giving comes first, though they are simultaneous in eternity, where they cannot be separated. When you have learned that they are the same, the need for time is over. So there's a gap in time, always. The giving comes first. I'm just going to let you take this paragraph.
Yes, so the miracles are what was referred to in the previous section is as the fruits. By their fruits you shall know them, and they shall know themselves. So the miracles are witnesses to the healing of our mind, of the healed mind, right? So miracles come from a healed mind, even if it's just for um, that moment. There is no fear in the mind, um, and so. Um, and so the healed mind is our reality, and that's what we're learning from the miracles, from the effects that we see of healing. We say, okay, well, there's a miracle. My true mind is really healed and whole and uh, one with God and all of my brothers. um, And the reason why it says you cannot perform a miracle for yourself is because the miracle comes from the mind that recognizes that there is no such thing as an individual self. So the so the miracle is performed from our right mind, which is holy vision that recognizes we are one Son of God, um, not not myself as an individual entity, ego, body. Um, and so, because miracles are a way of giving acceptance and receiving it. Yes, so in recognizing that we are one, giving and receiving is the same thing. Uh, uh, a way of giving acceptance and receiving it. But in time, the giving comes first. So in other words, in time, we practice forgiveness, okay? Because through forgiveness, we choose between the grievance or the miracle. And, and in time, we are deciding through forgiveness for the miracle. And that has to come first. Um, uh, um, in order for us to recognize the blessings that come from that. So in other words, we can be very in I see it all the time because the minute that we release a judgment and we truly forgive, there's a release. The problem is gone. Problem is just not there anymore. Okay. So 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 in time, it's as if the forgiving comes first, and then the effects, the relief, the peace, the joy, all of that shows up. But in truth, there's simultaneous in eternity. Um, but until the mind completely recognizes that it's not a self in time and that it is at home in eternity, then we're going to experience the giving is coming first, and then the effects as healing. Okay. So yes, so in time, the mind is learning to awake. Out of time, there is no illusion, there's no dream anymore. The mind is awake and has recognized that the separation was just a dream that wasn't real, that never happened. Okay, number 7.
Eternity is one time, its only dimension being, quote unquote, always. This cannot mean anything to you until you remember God's open arms and finally know his open mind. Like him, you are, quote unquote, always in his mind and with a mind like his. In your open mind are your creations in perfect communication, born of perfect understanding. Could you but accept one of them, you would not want anything the world. Let me see, try that again. Could you but accept one of them, you would not want anything the world has to offer. Everything else would be totally meaningless. God's meaning is incomplete without you, and you are incomplete without your creations. Accept your brother in this world and accept nothing else, for in him you will find your creations because he created them with you. You will never know that you are co-creator with God until you learn that your brother is co-creator with you. Mhm.
Mhm. Okay, so until we learn that we are just one son of God, we will forget that we are co-creators with God, and we will miscreate because we think we're on our own, and we're going to be working from fear. So eternity is the recognition that we have never left the mind of God, and separation never happened. So the mind is awake. And let's see. And miracles are co-creations. The miracles are co-creations of the mind that is in the service of the Holy Spirit. And to accept just one of those miracles is to accept that our will is one with God, and that we cannot be in a world of space and time. So it would be the undoing of all of the illusions of separation, projection, of basically seeing with the body senses. And so the acceptance of our brother is really the acceptance of oneness, of recognizing that my brother cannot be different from me. We are exactly the same. And so it's really the acceptance of myself, and the release of the judgment, and let's see, and the acceptance of the truth of how we were created. Yeah, so you will never know that you are co-creator with God until you learn that your brother is co-creator with you. Because we teach what we believe. So we're influencing each other. And in that process, we are, either creating or miscreating, because we are co-creators, because we are one mind. So even the ego is one mind. The ego thought system is one mind. It's not separate. They're not separate, private, thoughts that cannot be shared. So, okay. So that's it. Anything else before we stop? No? Okay. Okay, so let's see. Next time it's going to be the 2 evaluations. So thank you. Thank you for joining. Bye.